So how's everybody doing this evening?
Great.
Everybody got a drink ready? I
Excellent.
got my Propel water here.
Woohoo! I have my plain water. I'm ready.
I'm just sending myself a link to this meeting on the other computer so I can pull it up, and that way we can retrieve anybody who got that incorrect link. There we go. Okay, this computer is coming online now. How you doing there, Marlon?
Bad week, Willie. Bad week. Man, it's been one of those weeks, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Let me just ask you a question. If you fall once and then you fall two other times trying to get back up, does that count as one fall or three falls?
That's one fall, man.
I
Whatever makes you happy.
had, I had a fall today,
Did
but I'm
you?
doing fine otherwise.
You didn't
Yeah,
hurt, you
yeah,
didn't hurt
just a little
yourself
while
though,
ago.
did you?
I'm sore, but no, I'm
Oh.
good. I play Pop Warner football with broken wrists and
Yeah,
stuff,
that's what
so
I was gonna say, man. All the times we played tackle football in the streets as kids. Well, we're not 13 years old anymore either. But
So we are about 3 minutes out, y'all. I hope everybody's doing good this evening. It looks like we got some new faces in here. Got some returning people in here. That's nice. Bonita, do you mind me asking where you're from? I think you might have to unmute yourself. Let me see here.
There, I'm unmuted.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you, Bonita. Where are you coming from?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, okay. Whew. It gets
Yeah.
cold out there.
It actually is it's 100 degrees out here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're kind of in that heat dome. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's I'm
So how did you find our global living room?
it just showed up
Oh,
and it
okay.
looked
Well,
interesting. And so here I am.
welcome home.
And and I'm more of a listener than a talker. So
Sure. That's fine. Well, we're glad that you're here. Don't worry about trying to figure anything out tonight. We have fun at these meetings and we learn a lot. Most everybody here is new to Rotary. Uh, there are some original members who were started from last year. Our prior president chair is here tonight. Her name is Quanta, and I just assumed the role right after her this year. So we have some experienced people here, and we got a lot of brand new people, and so we're trying to get everybody acclimated and learning and figuring out what Rotary is all about. So
Hi,
there's no,
everybody.
hey, Quanta.
Bonita, where did you see the meeting? Are you a Rotarian, Bonita?
I
oh,
believe that question was for you, Bonita.
okay. Well, and hold on. I'm hearing impaired. I don't have my hearing aids in, so bear with me one moment while I stick them in.
Okay.
Teresa is not here tonight. Is she okay?
Okay, if you can ask the question again, I'll try to answer it.
Oh, I was wondering where did you exactly see the meeting of, this meeting, and are you connected to any Rotary people or things like
This
that?
this is not all new information for me. I am 75 years young,
Oh,
and I refer to myself as unstoppable, awesome, curious. And that gets me in a lot of trouble. I don't care. You know, uh I am fascinated by everyone and everything. And I find myself in some really interesting situations because of my curiosity. And I am not a Christian. I am a hardcore Jesus fan. Um, and definitely have conversations with God every day. So when I find myself in a pickle, I have some very intense conversations with God. So yeah, and that really kind of sums. Besides the fact that I'm also a hardcore vegan, and it's a God-based veganism. So I have a different way of looking at many things, and I have an insatiable curiosity. So here I am.
Well, Miss Bonita, it is very nice that you chose to join us in our global living room tonight. And we're going to have some fun together and get to know each other a little bit. And you don't need to feel any pressure to talk. I know you said you have your hearing aids and stuff. Feel free to turn your camera on or off. It doesn't matter. And you can jump in the conversation anytime you want
Thank
to,
you.
but otherwise you can just sit back and observe. Either one is perfectly fine. My name is Willie, and I am the chair, soon to be president of this particular Rotary Club of Inner Peace. And you are in our global living room tonight. So thank you for joining us.
You are welcome.
And
Thank you for the
everybody else that's here, uh-huh. We have Arthur, looks like he's trying to get in. Looks like one of his accounts is in already. Oh, he has two in. Okay.
Kevin is here.
Good evening. Good evening, Arthur. Welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I don't know how I have two accounts. I know it happened last time, like one of the few times.
That's for special people. You know, I got two up there too. See, I'm one right here. I'm looking into this camera, and then one over here.
Yeah.
So
Y'all
before
doing
we get
okay?
started, yeah, we're doing real good. Before we get
That's
started, I
good.
just want to just open it up to everybody. Does anybody have anything interesting that they just want to tell us real quick before we get started? Bonita obliged us there for a minute. Anything going on? Anybody got anything interesting that they're drinking right now? Anybody traveling? Any grandbabies? What's going on with everybody before we get started? And just real brief, nothing long. And if nobody has anything, we can keep it moving. Going once. Kevin, thank you for joining us again, my friend. Welcome home.
Thank you so much, Willie. I apologize for being off camera, but I am really not feeling well, so I'm just monitoring tonight.
Well,
Well,
that
that
makes two of us, but you showed up, and I really appreciate that. All right, so we're going to get started. Thank you for coming in from our front porch. That's the entryway that you came in. I don't know if you guys were able to take advantage
All
of it,
right,
but
so we're going to get started.
when you're in that waiting room, which we call the front porch, there
Thank you for
is
coming in from our front porch. That's
someone
the
can you guys
we're able
mute?
to.
I think that might be
We're
Arthur.
going to get started.
Arthur
Way
is
that you came in.
having feedback.
There we
And you
go.
want
I'm going to see if I can
one
mute him. Let's see. Oh, there
I
he. I
hope
think he took care of
I hope you feel better, Kevin.
it.
Thanks, Kwana. I appreciate it.
So since we have a couple of new people here, and some of you may not have heard initially how we got started with this global living room concept, I just want to explain it to the people who are just joining us. We don't want this to ever feel like just another meeting. We wanted to feel like you just walked into somebody's living room, a place where people from different backgrounds, different communities. We have some people from Africa who may be joining us, and it's like 2:30 a.m. for them, so they may or may not join us, but they did say that they might. And in fact, while I'm talking here, I'll well, when one of you guys speak in a minute, I'll just go ahead and send them the link again just to make sure because we had some issues with the link there for a minute. But there's Rula. Okay, we're going to go ahead and admit Rula. But yeah, so we're wanting this to feel like um, a home for people, where we can learn together, laugh together, serve together, and eventually become one big family. Because around here, during the time that I'm going to be leading over this next year, we're putting people before projects because I think that once you got the people together and they want to be around each other, that service emanates from that. So there's something interesting about tonight. August, and Kevin, you correct me if I'm wrong, but Kevin is a former district governor for Rotary, but August happens to be Rotary Membership Month. And I got to admit something. Before I even realized August was Membership Month, I had already dedicated myself to turning this into and deciding that we needed to spend some time exploring what membership actually means. This is our third meeting, and many of you have been here for each one of them. Some of you have been for one or two, but I'm not interested in giving anybody a sales pitch tonight for Membership Month. I'm really not. I don't want to sell you Rotary. I'd rather just let you experience it in the way that I've been experiencing over the last couple of years. What made me decide to come into it because I'm not easy to convince. My wife is sitting in here, Shannon. She can tell you I'm a difficult person to convince about things. So then you can decide for yourself, whether it's a place that you feel like it's family and something that you want to do. But before we get started, we're going to do something that is totally and completely Rotary. And I'm going to ask Shannon to help me here. If you can get on mic, we're going to do we're going to read the Rotary four-way test. It's four simple questions that Rotary asks, and they ask us to consider about the things that we think, say, and do. So let me go ahead and share my screen here with the four-way test. And you guys don't have to read along. It always sounds horrible because we never are in sync when we read it together. But you can think about it. Let's see, where is my screen? There's my screen. Okay, we're sharing the entire screen. Gonna share sound and audio. All right, and our rotary four-way test is up on the screen now. Shannon, can you help us out here and read the rotary four-way test for us?
Sure. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, thank you, thank you for reading that for us. And that's something that's been with Rotary for a very long time. Thank you for reading that. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? There's no complicated philosophy. There's no political ideology attached to that. There's no religious requirement attached to that. Just four pretty good questions about how we treat other human beings. And
Hey,
that's actually,
hey,
uh-huh.
Will, this is
Yes.
Kevin. I just wanted to chime in very quickly and say that it's really meant to be more of an internal barometer as opposed to one that we should apply externally toward other people, something we
Right.
use internally.
Hmm. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you. And that's why I love having experienced Rotarians in our group. But that's the beautiful thing about this. And it's one of my favorite parts of the global living room. And for anybody that was here last meeting, I apologize because we skipped it. We had things kind of switched up a little bit. We had a guest speaker who was committed to speak, and so I had to rearrange our schedule, and that was one thing that did not make it back on there. So I apologize for that. But yeah, it's like Kevin said, it's an internal barometer. It's been around for a while, and I think it's a very good barometer, a way for you to figure out if you're approaching things the right way when you're dealing with other people, when you're dealing with other Rotarians and stuff. So last two meetings, we had what we called a mask off moment. And that's what time it is right now for our mask off moment. Now, for everybody that's new here, and Kevin isn't new, but he wasn't here when we did this. So I'm going to explain it to the new people here. This is part of the gathering where we deliberately take off some of the masks that we normally wear. Whether you're a president, whether you're a doctor, teacher, pastor, business owner, retiree, Rotarian. Let's see, who do we have entering now? I'm just going to admit somebody else here. But yeah, so we did the mask off moment the last meeting, I'm sorry. And we're just going to spend a couple of minutes doing that. And but we're going to start in a different direction this time. I don't want to know what you've done for somebody else. Uh, I don't want to know about prior accomplishments. What I want to try to figure out is I want to know when you needed somebody. I want to know, can you remember a time in your life when somebody showed up for you? And when they showed up for you, did they really have to show up, or did they do it because they showed up for you? They believed in you or they wanted to help you. So that's what this mask off moment is going to be. And I'm going to start it off. And the person that I was going to talk about is not here right now, but he's from Africa, and it's Maina Ngiri. He was here the last meeting for those of you who met him then. He showed up for me big time, and he's from Africa, from Kenya. And the way that he showed up for me was that I was setting some stuff up for our company in Africa, and he connected me with two very influential people there. One was a former Kenyan Supreme Court justice, and the other was a PharmD, and those people became part of our telemedicine company for stuff that we're setting up there. So just something that simple, who showed up for you? So we're just going to go around the room real quick and just take a quick 30 to 60 seconds to tell us about who showed up for you and how. How did that happen? So we'll start with my list here. I got Thomas. Thomas, do you have someone? And if you don't, don't feel like you have to say anything at all. You just say, no, I don't really have anybody right now, and we can move to the next person.
Well, this is from a while back when I first became a civilian, and I was living in a place that I didn't know and didn't have any friends. Places out in California, which is where I live now. And a gentleman from downstairs, he kind of across the way, just looked at me and came over and said, "Hey, I see you're up here alone. Why don't you come down and join me in the family?" And sometimes, we're a little standoffish as men, and we kind of don't really let ourselves be vulnerable. And went down, joined he and his family, and we became fast friends, the whole family. And whenever I see them, it's always great to reminisce and smile and just be myself around them because they know who I am. And it's really great to have people who can make you feel comfortable. And that's kind of my mask off moment, being comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Next on my list, Marlon just popped up to the top of it. Marlon, and remember, guys, this doesn't have to be anything dramatic. I'm about to admit Janita to the meeting. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic. It doesn't have to be, you know, it could be somebody lent you money. It could be somebody opened the door for you. It could be anything, just somebody that showed up for you that you remember, that it made you remember them. So, Marlon.
Yeah. So life lesson I learned last week, my wife and I were traveling. Uh, I left my phone in a rental car in Baltimore. I live in Michigan. And I didn't realize how identity theft really works until it hit me. And late last week, I woke up to some emails saying that I'd had charges up to $6,000
Ooh.
in London, France, Germany, and all over the world, and I never realized it. My credit score dropped because I had 15 hard credit inquiries for new credit cards. Uh, Make a long story short, the people that came through for me, they weren't people that were family or even personal close friends, but it was people that I worked with that were able to get everything reversed and turned around. Um, Lesson learned, no matter how smart you think you are, uh, you're really not that smart. And I also learned that no matter what your banks tell you and what Google tells you and everything else about your data being secured, uh, take that with a grain of salt because I thought I had everything locked down and obviously I didn't. So, uh, like I said, there were multiple people from my banks to credit card companies that actually came through, got everything fixed, got all my money back, got me new cards and everything else. So that was my mask off moment.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Next on my list is Arthur.
Hi,
I'm
yes.
really sorry. Can I just say a quick hello? Sorry, really, Arthur, to interrupt. I forgot to tell you really that I was on a Rotary an RLI training session tonight. And so I'm just on a 5 minute break and I've got to go over to finish that session. So if it finishes a bit early, I'll jump back in. But I just wanted to say hi to you all, and I'm
Hi,
learning more
welcome
about
home.
Rotary and love you guys and God bless. Yeah.
Welcome home. Thanks for showing up.
um,
Okay, Arthur.
yes, sir. My mask off is it's something that happened about a year ago. We had to pay for something, me and my wife, and we kind of were short on cash, and one of her coworkers came by and gave us chili. So I think that was pretty good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Now, does that coworker know that you still remember that situation?
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. Yeah, I've always said I was going to make something for him, but that's been months now. I actually kind of forgot about that. So
Well,
if
I'm
he
glad we were able to spark a memory for you.
right, so if he forgets that, then it's like a mutual forgetfulness on both our ends. I'm gonna have to give him
Uh-huh.
some.
Right, right. Okay, Miss Bonita, would you like to participate? There's no pressure to participate if you don't. I know you said you like to listen and sit back.
In this case, yes, I do want to participate because
Awesome.
it will enable me to um, uh, pull off a promise that I made to a couple of men. In June, um, I took a 6,500 mile 30-day road trip.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and I went to a convention in Philadelphia. All of my relatives are pretty much east of the Mississippi. So I took the time, as long as I was east of the Mississippi, I traveled around and visited relatives, checking in on how they were doing. And coming back, I came back through Minnesota because I have a friend in Montana, which is north of Denver, that I promised to check in with also. So that's why it was a 6,500-mile road trip. But anyway, when I was traveling through Minnesota on my way to Montana, I stopped at a rest area. I needed to use the ladies' room. I locked my keys and my mobile phone in my car.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, that was I used a different word when I closed the door and realized what. But anyway, I looked up and there was a man sitting at a picnic table, and I walked up to him, and we both agreed that I had locked my car and my keys and my phone in my car. And we both agreed I needed to use the ladies' room. So I said, I'm going to need help. And there was nobody else. There was no one else in this rest stop. It was 7 o'clock on a Friday night, right across the Minnesota border from Wisconsin. When I came back, you know, he was so stoned he couldn't remember the phone number of his own phone. He was smoking something. And so, I'm in intense conversation with God. And that he gave me his phone and I got a hold of my roadside assistance. And the sun's going down. And I told roadside assistance, hey, I'm okay. I'm in a safe spot. This man lent me his phone. Hopefully the battery won't die. He's stoned. He can't remember his own phone number. So you make sure you get somebody out here. Um, while I was waiting, another man showed up who apparently was a transient who came to this rest area on occasion, and these two men were friends. The second man who showed up, the the term that's used now is neurodiverse. He was, mentally developmentally deficient. Yet he had this, he had with him a violin made in Hungary that had been gifted to him by a stranger. He was an incredible musician, but cognitively challenged. So he's playing the violin. The other man was a fisherman, and we're waiting for my roadside assistants to come. And they stayed there. They both, even though the man who played the violin wanted to go to have the other man drive him to a nearby city to get him something to eat. They both stayed there for 2 hours until my roadside assistants came, made sure I got in my car, and I was gone. Their names are Justin and Aaron. And I told Justin, I don't carry cash. I says, but I do know people who pray. So I can offer you prayer if you can accept that. And he accepted it so enthusiastically. He just beamed. So if there's anybody in this group who prays, kindly pray for Justin and Aaron because I promised them I would ask because they made sure I was safe and went safe on my way.
Well, that prayer will be answered today because I'm a praying man and I will do that after this meeting.
Thank you so much.
So, Teresa, welcome home. We're doing a
Well, thank
mask off.
you.
We did the four-way test. I didn't forget this time.
Well, good. I got
And
I got wrapped up in something and I was like, oh my gosh, what time is it?
yeah.
And I'm like, oh no.
Well, what we're doing is our mask off moment, and this time we're just talking about maybe for about 60 seconds or so, a time when someone showed up for you. So, would you like to let us know your mask off moment, a time where somebody showed up for you?
Well, there's been many, many, many times, but this I'm gonna go way back when I was like in my late 20s and I had a baby with me and a flat tire on a country road that I had no idea where I was or how far I was from anything and was just stopped there. And along comes this car, and it turns out to be a man who owned the retread shop in the closest town. And his home was up on the top of the hill just down the road, and he brought me and my baby there with his wife while he got my car fixed and got me my flat tire fixed. So I think that fits in that category. I really feel like often I have had people that showed up for me that I didn't expect.
Well, thank you for
Often.
sharing that mask off moment. Kevin, your first time participating in our mom moment. Do you have a time when someone showed up for you?
Willie, truth be known, people show up for me every single day. But one instance in particular was, and I may have shared this before, but it was shortly, well, my wife passed away 2 weeks into my tenure as district governor in 2024. She was also my chief of staff. Rotarians consistently showed up for me to support me, not only emotionally, but neighbors showed up for me with meals. It was a tough year, but I was able to navigate it with a lot of help and a lot of support from friends, neighbors, relatives. But again, every single day, people are showing up in some capacity to help me, and I'm always grateful for that. I think gratefulness is something we need to practice more of, and Quanta is exemplary in helping me to understand that. So, my moment. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Kevin. Shannon, do you have a time when someone showed up for you?
Um, Let me see. Well, my brother, he really showed up for me during the time that our daughter was pursuing music. The music industry can be really expensive, and there's no guarantee that anything would come from it. But he kind of believed in her enough, and he believed in us enough to invest in her music anyway. And so, what meant the most about that wasn't the financial support, it was just the way that he stood behind our family when the outcome was unknown. And so that's something I have never forgotten. And I have three brothers, but that particular brother was Thomas right here with us.
Well, thank you for sharing that mask off moment.
Mhm.
Next on my list, Paul, Mr. Hawthorne. Do you have a moment for us?
I have too many moments, you know.
Well, give us one, 60 seconds or less, brother.
I'm telling you. Uh, actually, listen, I'm blessed every day, man. I get my daughters. Whenever I need something, they're there for me, you know. So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. When you got all women in the family, son, and you're the only man, okay. So no, but seriously, I got the best family ever, you know, wife and girls. So I'm gonna keep it there. Holla. No, see you boys.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing, Paul. Quanta, you're next on my list. Do you have a moment that someone showed up for you?
Well, I have trillions of moments, trillions of times people have been there for me. But one thing, since we're talking about one thing, 2019, I was in Kiev, Ukraine. I was going to a Rotary Club meeting, and and then I met some friends that I've known for 40 some years. Well, I fell and broke my arm
Oh.
in the hotel. So I had to, without meeting anybody, I had to be, return home on an emergency basis. So when I came back, my Rotary family from Charlotte International, they brought me food. They took me out, and they helped me so much. And since we are Rotarians, I just wanted to make that connection that Rotarians are indeed, I call them the angels that spread goodness on their wings. Thank you.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that moment with us, Quanta. And last but certainly not least, thank you for coming home again, Rula.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can. Good
Yes.
evening.
Sorry, my video is not working still. But like all of you, many different moments. But maybe in my 20s in med school, I almost dropped out because it was very stressful and couldn't sleep right, and exams some not going well. And um, but two friends who are still some of my very best friends showed up for me, like, let's study together. We started having study groups and pulling through the medical school experience um, saved my profession. So that's one moment. But there are
Awesome.
many others.
Of
With
course there
family.
are, but thank you for sharing that one. That
Thank
was
you.
very special. Tom, welcome back, my friend. Welcome home. Nice to see you again.
We can hear you, Tom. Join your audio.
Well, just so you know what we just did, Tom, just in case your audio was not working, we were having our mask off moment. And I don't think that you were here for that meeting when we did that. And it's basically where we just kind of drop the veil and give a moment where we're not really wearing the mask of who we are during the day. And this particular mask off moment, we were just asking everyone to share a time when someone showed up for you. What, about 60 seconds or so. So if your audio is working, we love to hear from you. But if not, we're going to move on and let you just sit back and listen to us. So you guys know what I find fascinating about that whole thing is that most everything that we just described, none of it was a project. Nobody formed a committee. Nobody wrote a grant. Nobody created a strategic plan. Nobody held a fundraiser for none of that. Somebody simply saw another human being and showed up. And years later, maybe it was just a few days ago, maybe it was weeks ago. For some of you, it was decades ago, but years later, we remember. And that's why I keep saying in this group, people before projects, because service doesn't begin with a project. I'm letting that sit for a second. Service begins when somebody cares. Keep that thought somewhere in the back of your head because tonight we're going to explore that a little more. We're going to come back to it. So, right now, before we move forward, we're just going to celebrate people just for a minute before we save the world. Anybody celebrating a birthday or anything or anniversary, just want to acknowledge you in that moment. And if not, we'll just keep it moving on. Everybody just survived the last 2 weeks.
I'm going to check my list
Surviving
when I
counts.
get
Surviving
home.
counts. Surviving counts. So,
I'm going to check the list when I get back to where all my stuff is, and I
okay.
will,
Well, thank you.
I will,
And
I
what,
will find out if somebody's not speaking up and because it's their birthday.
okay. Well, right now we're going to move. And if you guys remember for those of you who were here, I created an agenda, and part of that agenda is the coffee table. We got kind of a theme going on here. So we're moving over to the coffee table right now. This is where we're going to discover things about each other that probably just wouldn't appear on anybody's Rotary biography. So we're going to do the whole question thing because part of people before projects is just getting to know each other a little bit better. You're going to know the same people that you see. I'm extremely happy and excited that all of you are showing up week after week, our third week. And hopefully by now you're getting to know a little bit more about each other each and every time that we show up. So tonight's question around the coffee table, and everybody doesn't have to participate in this one. I'll open the floor for a volunteer at first, and then I might call on one or two people. But think about this question right here. What's something that you genuinely enjoy doing that has absolutely nothing to do with your profession? Now, I know that a lot of us are retired. I'm blessed to be retired. But remember when you used to work? What's something that you genuinely enjoy doing that has absolutely nothing to do with your profession? And then I might follow up with how'd you get into that and how long you did it. But we're not going to spend too much time on it. I'm just curious to get to know each of you and for each of you to hear from a couple of the members around here and get to know each other a little bit better too. So I'm going to call on somebody that I think is an interesting person that everybody might want to know a little bit more about. And that's going to be marlin. I've known marlin since I was 6 or 7 years old. So 5 decades. And so I'm going to call on Marlon to answer that question first.
So this is kind of overly broad, but and Willie knows this from my childhood. I love everything to do with being outdoors, especially things like fishing. I love to fish, and we've had many, many joyful moments, Willie and I fishing together back in Gary. But I would say travel, but I'm retired also. So I've been doing that with my job when I was in the Air Force. When I retired, still traveling. So I would say, I'm kind of like an outdoors guy. Uh, got one kid. She's grown, so empty nest. So it's just me and the wife. And we like to do a lot of things together, a lot of traveling together. She doesn't fish, but
Now, just to interrupt you just for a second, this is one of my best friends, and I didn't even know he had a kid.
oh, come on, Willie. You're getting old,
I
man. If you don't remember me
yeah,
telling you that.
I did not remember. Yeah. So this is
35
awesome.
years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
All
kind
right.
of telling my age there, but
Well, thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Has absolutely nothing to do with your profession, but you genuinely enjoy fishing. Is there anybody else in here who loves to fish? I can think of one person, but I don't want to steal his thunder. I'm going to give the floor to Thomas next, and you don't have to say
Ah,
fishing because I just gave that up for you. So,
Yeah. Well, I do love fishing, and I apologize, people. I had to step away for a minute. They had delivery. Um, I do love fishing, um, and I love hearing fishing stories. One of my fishing buddies just texted me back, as a matter of fact. Uh, One of my greatest deal in fishing is when I caught my first shark. That was a good day. It was
wow.
a it was a 2.5 hour fishing uh, fishing deal, but getting out on the ocean and just feeling the breeze and enjoying just the beauty of the earth that God has made. A lot of people are. I know Shannon and Willie love traveling, and they love cruising, and they love being on the water. And they'll let you know, hey, if there's anything over 18 feet, Tom's not getting on it. That's it. His 18 feet and under, and I'll go out with you all day. So I love that, and I love canoeing, and it's great being out there on the ocean and relaxing.
Well, thank you for sharing. I want to open up the floor now to one or two other people. So, anybody else want to share?
Tom gets testing volume on a iPhone. Can you hear me?
Welcome home, Tom. Yeah, welcome back. I
Okay.
loved your presentation on the green your green presentation the last time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I would jump into the club about fishing. One of the stories that I tell my grandchildren, told my children when they were, of the age they needed a bedtime story, and I do my grandchildren now. My earliest memory as a human being is my dad taking me fishing on my fourth birthday. And my mother had packed us sandwiches and drinks and so forth. And I looked overboard and saw the fish swimming down at the bottom of the lake, and I threw my peanut butter and jelly sandwich down to the fish. And then I was hungry, and my dad took his ham and cheese sandwich and split it in half.
Yeah.
That was my fourth birthday. To this day, I really like ham and cheese on rye. Ham and cheese on rye with yellow mustard. I love it to this day.
Oh, wow, that is an awesome story. Is your father still here with us?
My father passed at the age of 99. That was about 5 years ago.
Okay, all right. Well, that's an awesome memory of him.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that.
6 years ago, actually. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh. Anybody else? I'll open it up for one more person here.
This is a short one.
Okay,
Okay.
Teresa.
I find myself when I'm not doing anything else, grabbing a piece of paper, making it into a square, and folding into an origami crane. And I
Nice.
just do this. I just do this, and I just make a pile.
Nice.
So it's doesn't have anything to do with anything as far
Hmm.
as research or whatever, but something
Right,
I
right.
learned when I was very little, and I just kept on doing it.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing those with us. And it looked like you got a bunch of them over there too.
I do, and I've given away a bunch also.
Wow. All right, everybody. Well, we're just going to shift everything up a little bit now because we're moving into our next segment. And this is quickly becoming my most favorite segment of our gatherings, the things unseen. Now, let me explain to y'all what this is for those of y'all who have not been here or not experienced this. This is a segment where, and I have to tell y'all, like Rotary keeps messing with me. Every time I think I pretty like got a pretty good understanding of what this organization has been doing for the last 100 years, I find something else. So y'all remember last meeting I found the Tuskegee stuff and
Mhm.
how influential African Americans were in the polio movement with Rotary over at Tuskegee. So this things unseen is it's something that I think is extremely important, especially for people who are considering becoming members at some point, because the majority of people that I have invited to come in had never heard of Rotary. I was one of those people who had never heard of it, and so I've learned some things, and I'm a quick researcher and find things out, and I knew about the polio and different stuff like that. But that's why I created this Things Unseen segment because Rotary is freaking blowing my mind every time I find something new about it. So tonight's Things Unseen. It's there's so much Rotary history, y'all. Rotary service,
Mhm.
Rotary innovation, Rotary impact, and it sits completely outside of normal view. Like it doesn't get enough like press. People just don't find out about this stuff. So sometimes even Rotarians who've been Rotarians for years don't know the stuff that I've been finding out. So every gathering, this is kind of what we're going to do is we're going to pull back the curtain on something, put it right here in the middle. And in the last meeting, I gave you guys an invitation to, if you find something about Rotary that you want to share, send it to me prior to the meeting. We'll evaluate it together and see if we can share it as one of the things unseen. But until you guys start doing that, I got a bunch of them I've been finding. But this one tonight is going to really like for some of our Rotarian OGs here, I think you're going to be delighted when you see this one. When I say Rotary, and I'm going to ask Teresa this because she's my Rotary OG. She's a secretary, and I know she probably would be phenomenal answering this question. When I say Rotary, Teresa, what comes to mind? Just real quick.
Well, just lately, the Rotarian magazine comes to mind because every time I look at it, I find something new, and
Okay.
my expectations and visions of service above self and where it can be used just expands exponentially.
Okay, thank you. Quanta, when I say Rotary, what comes to your mind? And you guys, just so you know, I'm asking the Rotary OGs because they've been doing this for a long time, so I know a lot of stuff comes to their mind. What comes to your mind the minute somebody says Rotary?
Tell the truth and serve beyond yourself.
Awesome,
Mhm.
thank you. Kevin, you'll be the last one that I ask. Kevin, what comes to your mind when you hear the word Rotary?
It's service. It's service, service, service. That's who we are. That's what we can do in a world, especially with increasing challenges. One of the things that Rotary is able to do, just as an example, is we have something called CART, Coins for Alzheimer's Research Trust. Just 2 weeks ago, we were able to award $4.55 million in 10 grants to people doing research for Alzheimer's. And these are all research organizations, scientists who cannot get funding from the National Institutes of Health. So Rotary, through the foundation, is able to contribute funds to help in that effort. And of course, our service in these areas, whether it's club service or community service, or international service, vocational service, whatever kind of service it is, we are making an impact in the world, and we're doing it largely on a volunteer basis.
Awesome. Okay. So, and those are all answers, you guys, that I expected to hear. Service, service above self, polio, scholarships, grants, clean water, that might have come up. Food drives, because we've participated in that before, community projects. Those all make sense. But what about keeping teenagers out of prison?
Mm,
Yeah, that
mm,
was my reaction too. I came across a Rotary story out of Toronto, Canada, and it introduced me to something called PACT, Participation, Acknowledgement, Commitment, Transformation. The PACT Urban Peace Program, and it works with at-risk youth, including young people who have already entered the criminal justice system. We're not talking about somebody who got caught talking in class. We're not talking about people whose lives can be headed towards incarceration, and somebody trying to interrupt that trajectory. We're talking about people who've already been in it. So
mhm,
one of the people I'm going to introduce you to is a young man named Stevenson. I found the video on YouTube. Akeem had been arrested 4 times. And I'm gonna just tell y'all, absent me being in Rotary, I wouldn't know Akeem. I'm just being honest. His fourth arrest involved aggravated robbery. At one point, this young man actually believed that going to jail might be the only way he could escape the life that he was living. Now, I've known people like that. I've been around people like that. Paul can tell you in the music industry, you see people like that all the time and you're around them all the time. But eventually, a judge gave this young man another possibility. Packed. So here comes today's or tonight's thing unseen. Rotary clubs got involved, and they didn't just simply say, "Here's a check, good luck." They became part of the mentoring effort. Now, that's the part that kind of blows my mind because being an African American, one thing that I have seen is that a lot of us don't go back to our own communities to help out and stuff. We're glad we got out and just try to make it. So here is Rotary, this organization that went in to mentor. That just kind of blew my mind. It gave me a new perspective on those type of things. They went in to help young people find opportunities, to help them find employment, to help them make connections. Stuff that Rotary does everywhere else. I just didn't expect to see them in this lane,
mhm.
helping them navigate pieces of ordinary life that many of us take for granted. So I'm excited to show y'all this 5-minute video because that is a thing unseen. So give me a minute. I'm gonna cue this video up for y'all. Sharing my screen. And where do I have the video loaded? There we go. Share audio. And it's on YouTube. There we go. Let me move this out of the way so it does not block the screen for you guys. All right. This is tonight's thing unseen.
Other cats were lurking on the block. It was just my young mind in the grid. Had me blind like a spell that had me blind.
Judge told me he's like either do 6 months or go through the PAC program for a year and a half. And I said, yeah, I'll do the PAC program.
Trying to turn the page cause I'm sick of hearing the same old bull on the radio. The boys thought y'all should already know. Gave y'all real talk, you tried to outline me. Told y'all to crown me, but y'all just
PAC stands for Participation, Acknowledgement, Commitment, and Transformation. And they are the 4 stages that an at-risk youth will go through in his path to a more positive life.
The next time that they get picked up by the police, they're going to be charged as adults. They're going to be lost to the adult system. So we're really trying to work with them and helping them to turn their lives around.
You know, I can't always just blame things on other people and always, you know, make excuses.
What are you thinking about when you see yourself back in 2010?
Wow. Really, like, wow. So what I'm doing right now in school is just finishing my last 4 high school. And then after that, I was looking to go into criminal justice so that I could one day hopefully be a life coach. I look at it as, I'm not trying to glorify it, but I'm just trying to say, yo, this is what I went through, but it's what I want to change from. This isn't who I am anymore. This is who I was.
Like, you lose so much, like, motivation and energy. Like, how did you go from that, like, point of when you're, like, so stuck?
When I started doing music, I used it as an outlet for my anger, because you can literally express anything you want, no matter what it is, express it. Nobody can judge you for it. It's you, your feelings, right? Your thoughts, what you go through every day.
We're going to do whatever it takes, and we're not going to abandon them. We're going to be with them as long as they want us to be there. And so they know that we've got their backs covered.
I don't want to give up on myself anymore.
When David Lockett came to our Rotary Club, I was very excited by the model that he was presenting. I started to ask myself how Rotary could be involved in a more hands-on way.
And I believe that's what everyone would need, just someone that would listen to them and motivate them and push them to say, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just doing what you can at this time and point. And there is other options and more ways to do it. So just keep pushing no matter what.
Yeah. Sucks.
All right, we got you.
What the hope is and plan is that we'll have a legion of Rotary ambassadors who will be available and willing and interested in providing peer mentorship to at-risk youth in a variety of ways.
Like, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow. They give you the blueprint with the PAC program, and you got to run with it as a person.
If they're telling me that they care for me and that I'm better.
Man, that's Rotary, y'all. That is Rotary. It's still shocking me every time I find something new like that right there, because it's like I said, it's a lane that I didn't expect to see Rotary in. Um, some of us who are learning about it, just learning about it, we know about the polio stuff. We know about, service above self, the motto. But learning things like this, I think, is what's going to really help us to understand where we can fit into Rotary a little bit more, a little bit better. You have a teenager standing at the edge of life inside the criminal justice system. I'm just shocked by the range of Rotary. Clean water halfway around the world, Rotary. Polio eradication, Rotary. Peace building, Rotary. That teenager right there, Rotary. Apparently, Rotary might be standing anywhere at this point. So what really kind of got me in looking at that was that somebody was willing to ask, not what did you do, because that's the natural inclination, but who could you still become? I think that's an important question. And that allows these young people in a situation like that to think beyond their immediate moment and try to dream a little bit and think about what they could potentially build. So I'm not going to turn this into a 20-minute discussion because we got somewhere important to go with this. Anybody else have a reaction to that before I move forward? Because I don't want to lose that moment if that moment reached you guys the same way it reached me. Quick 30-second comment if you want to. If not, we can move on. Feel free to speak up. Teresa?
Okay. Lead story in the new Rotary magazine, which was what brought it up for me, is that they are intervening in the release of women in the criminal jails and all, because as they come out, there's people waiting to target them for sex trafficking. And they've got a club where Rotary, where a woman who had gotten out of it through the help of Rotary has built a program to be with those women when they let them out, because there's praying people waiting for them, sometimes following them in jail, waiting for them to come out so they can pull them in.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's why I wanted to show you guys that tonight, because somebody had to care about those kids first. Before PACT became a program, before Rotary clubs supported it, before mentors showed up, before anybody started measuring outcomes, somebody cared. Somebody looked at the problem and said, this matters to me. Then somebody else stood beside them, and somebody else, and then somebody else. And eventually, a passion became a project. Okay? Which makes me wonder something. We've been spending time discovering extraordinary things other Rotarians have cared about. But what do y'all care about? What have you seen? What bothers you? What population pulls at your heart? What problem have you looked at and thought somebody ought to do something about that? Because maybe somebody should. And maybe you don't have to do it alone. Welcome to the next segment, the service lab. And we're going to run a few minutes over, y'all. I apologize, but this is important because this is a segment that we have not done yet, but it's on our agenda, the service lab. Now, the service lab is exactly what it sounds like. This is where ideas don't have to arrive finished. You don't need a proposal. You don't need a budget. You don't need a committee. You don't even necessarily need to know what the project is yet. Bring the passion. I'm known for that. Anybody that knows me in this group that's been around me for 5 minutes knows that. We'll figure out the project later. August is membership month, and rather than spend a bunch of time telling prospective members why Rotary needs you, I'd rather ask you what you might need Rotary for. Maybe you spent years thinking about something you love to change. Maybe it's got to do with veterans. Maybe it's got to do with children, education, hunger, mental health, people with disabilities, animals, the environment, senior citizens, entrepreneurship, a lot of things that we think about on a daily basis, and a lot of time it just remains in that thinking stage. Maybe the idea isn't the problem. Maybe you just never had enough hands. So we've already started seeing what this looks like. Quanta has a project in Turkey that we're trying to help out. Something mattered to her. That passion became action. Patty, who isn't with us tonight, our vice president, introduced us to Lois last meeting and the orphanage that's in Zambia. We're learning, we're building that relationship, we're keeping the dialogue going. Nobody's promised anything. People first. And maybe someday a project grows from that relationship. But Quanta isn't the only person in the room with a passion. Patty isn't the only person in this group who knows somebody doing meaningful work. What about you? So I'm going to go around the room again. And everybody gets this one. Member, prospective member, guest, doesn't matter. If you had 10 committed friends standing beside you, this is the question. What is something you would finally try to accomplish for somebody else? That's the question right now. So let's start with Teresa. And real quick, y'all, 1 minute or less. We want to respect everyone's time, and we're running over, so I apologize for that. But I want to get everybody a chance to speak on something that they would do.
Yeah. Well, Lois got me thinking, and one thing comes to another, and then I just learned that we've got an orphanage here with between 50 and 60 children who have no parents. They've died in violence, and uh, I just think that closer to home would give an opportunity for hands-on and maybe something similar to Big Brothers Big Sisters mentoring. It's just been on my mind ever since I heard from Lois.
Okay, it's noted. It's that we have AI taking notes, so it's not going to be forgotten. Marlon.
Um, I would say I have a soft spot for homelessness, especially for children who are drugged into that situation and have no control over it. Um, you see it so often now. Don't get me wrong, some homelessness is due to your own self or whatever, however you want to phrase that. But there are some that are truly need help. And when you think about small little children in the wintertime, they're hungry, they have no place to go, no friends, they don't grow up normally like most of us have. That kind of bothers me. So if I had some friends, and it would take a lot of money, a lot of planning, a lot of time, but I would definitely look into trying to make the situation, especially for a lot of single mothers that are out there with children, small children, trying to make that situation a little bit easier for them.
Okay. Well, I see some people in the room, and as people are speaking, I'm seeing reactions, little bitty telltale signs of people thinking things through, like, yeah, some of that sounds good, and you may be even thinking about your own. Next, Paul Hawthorne.
Well, he touched on a huge one. I won't be long with it. All right. So I had a young lady actually through a friend of mine that I've known for a long time. But the young lady just got out of the hospital, major operation. She hasn't, paid her rent. Yes, it's due to her own fault, but these guys literally was ready to kick her out on the street. The sheriff was coming that day. My buddy called me up and says, Paul, I don't know why I called you, but she said, call Paul. She didn't even know you, but she was told by God that a Paul would help. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't know anybody in Phoenix. So without freaking out, I just kind of settled down. He called. I made a couple of calls and actually bought her at least a week, for her to get her stuff together. It's not something to change the whole deal, but at least buy her time for her to go back to the hospital because she was bleeding and she was on the deathbed. So her kid would have been on the street,
Oh, wow.
So I am definitely with you, Marlon. Let's go. Whatever we need to do on that one.
iPhone. Who is on iPhone? Your
That's
name is.
probably me, Tom.
Oh, okay, Tom. All right. I saw your name before. Maybe Tom, is your name
I-
Tom Getz?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so I see Tom Getz and I see one that
Well,
just
I,
said
I
iPhone.
logged on with a laptop computer that doesn't have audio,
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
but
so you're
I
one of
got
the two,
audio on the
two,
iPhone, but
two.
it's a tiny, tiny little window.
Okay,
I get
all
both of
right.
them up and running. But I guess I'm going to say I'm doing it. It's a dream that I've had in my heart for over 50 years ago, I was a hippie living on a commune, and I kind of got my act together, became Baha'i faith at that time, and started living responsibly and left the hippie commune to go to college. But at the time I left, I prayed that I loved gardening and I especially loved giving away food. And so I had prayed that at some point in my life, I will once again live out in the country where I can have big gardens and give away food. And I started that in spring of 2026 with my first open harvest where we were picking blueberries, and now we're picking cucumbers and cantaloupe and cayenne peppers, and next week it might be persimmons. And so it's small, but it's happening. It's a real small thing, but it's happening. And
That is
it's making
awesome.
growth.
And I see some reactions popping up, so you're resonating with people.
Thank you.
Next, Arthur.
Yes, sir. Um, I live in a place where there's a couple of food pantries. And I always thought that was a cool idea just to, if I had a couple of friends, I can throw money in like a little food truck or a stand or something and go mobile and give people like pancakes or something. You know, they have to
Awesome.
pay a little extra if they want some eggs, but you got to keep it running. But just free pancakes. Make sure people get fed.
Okay, pancake pantry. All right. Bonita, would you like to participate?
Sure.
Awesome.
So this has really been a fortuitous stumbling across this Zoom link. As we were watching the video on the young man who, gosh, was given this extraordinary help. Um, I went online looking for a Rotarian club in the Denver area, and I thought, I need to check this out. So, and in terms of me, um, over the past, I don't know, I've always been a giver to the point that I give so much that it hurts me. Um,
Mm.
in the last couple of years, I've actually focused on health equity. And when I was, and this is everything I could do to stop from crying. When I took that road trip that I mentioned, where those two extraordinary stoned middle-aged men made sure that I continued safely. Um, I, uh, I I had gone to a convention in Philadelphia. That's what took me east. And then I've got relatives to Kentucky, Tennessee, and I mean, all the way up to Wisconsin, and then my friend in Montana. And I promised to visit with all of them, so I did. But when I was in Philadelphia for the convention, and I drove, and because I drove, um, this convention was held at the Templeton University in the heart of Philadelphia. Because I drove, I got to drive through Philadelphia, through the heart of Philadelphia.
Mm. Yeah.
And I don't know who here is familiar with Philadelphia. This was my first trip there. Oh my God. The disenfranchisement, the poverty, the food desert, the drug addiction, the sexual prostitution, and I'm going to put myself out here. I am okay with legalizing commercial sex. I think we need to do that. The uh, but that said, if the only way that a woman can support herself is to sell her body, that's not okay. And the guards at the university where I went to this convention, they're friends in that community, and their job, and it's heartbreaking, their job, and I'm talking about a Black community. Their job of these young guards is to keep their friends off the campus property.
Mm.
The whole thing, and I talked to some of the convention people about that. I says, do you realize what's here we are, you know, how many years, how many hundreds of years past the importation, bringing people against their will to work. And they're still struggling. We still ignore them. And, you know, so
I
where
feel
can,
your passion.
where can I find 10 people to have that conversation? That's what
Hmm.
we're so full of shame for who we are. Get over it.
Hmm.
And, but anyway, so yeah, so while I'm here, I'm scouting out the Rotarian clubs in Denver to see if there's to see if I can find 10 people who can have that conversation. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Well, thank you for sharing. Kevin, I know you've been doing this forever. Hit us with something.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is Rotary has many, many, many projects, service projects going on in our communities and around the world that address so many different needs, and the needs are 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 many. Um, the first thing I would say to anybody thinking about engaging in a service project is to make sure that there is a need for that activity. Rotary has a history, and this is going back a few years of solving problems that don't really exist, and we need to be very cautious about that. Having said that, I think the one thing that unites communities more than anything else, one of the problems that presents itself to every community is access to services, whether it's food or diapers or medications, hospitals, mental support. Creating access is such a huge problem in our communities. But one of the things that I see primarily in our urban areas, and other people have touched on it, one of the things that I would like to see done is providing one of the basic necessities, and that is food. We have um, so many so many deserts, food deserts in our urban areas. And we need to provide sustainable ways for people to have access to food. And that means creating gardens, creating honey production, creating means for people to sustain their lives and their health. So I commend Tom for the work that he's doing in providing food to people. It's a basic human need that we need to do more of.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Kevin. I see Quanta has her hand up, so I'm just going to go out of order here and call on Quanta.
Thank you very much. I just put my email, and there are Rotarians that are actually working for human trafficking issues. Charlotte International had a member, I forgot, I think her name was Tamara or Tammy, and she had an organization, she still does in Charlotte. So there are Rotarians who are involved. Bonita, I sent you my email. I will connect you with some Rotarians who can give you guidance as to how you can work in your locality about this issue. And thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
thank you.
freedom.
Hey,
Thank you.
Thank you so much
if
for that, Quanta.
can I jump in real quick, Willie? I
Yes.
just want to throw out there's something, and you may or may not have information on this, but there are these organizations called Rotarian Action Groups.
Mhm.
Rotarian Action Groups, or RAGs. We have about there's probably 50 different action groups. There are pockets of people who work across Rotary clubs and across distances on common issues. There is a Rotary Action Group against slavery that's very active, and they participate all over the country in providing awareness on what human trafficking looks like in the many forms it can take. So I would also encourage your member to look for the Rotary Action Group against slavery.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. My list is just shuffling itself for some reason, so I hope I'm not missing anyone. Thomas, can you share with us?
Absolutely. Uh, I'd like to start out by saying I hear a lot of positive things. That one in particular is making sure that the basic necessities of life are being, thought about and addressed. And if I had 10 friends, which you know, in times past, I have had those 10 friends, and we've gotten together and looked for a need, as I believe it was Arthur that was saying, addressing something that's needed. And
That was Kevin.
Kevin, thanks. Sorry about that. And so in the city that we lived, there was always food pantries and people being fed um, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, sometimes Sunday. So we saw a couple of opportunities in there, and those opportunities being a couple of days. And we actually went in with food, with clothes, and we set up a little place in the park, and it was welcome to anyone. You didn't have to be homeless. You just had to be someone who wanted to have food and a conversation and relationship and sit with people and talk to people. Because uh, as we know, our ages, the boomers were getting older, and we don't have a lot of conversations anymore. Sometimes we're alone. So just having people get together and meet and talk, especially in the neighborhood that I live in, I love talking to my neighbors who I live in a seniors community. And so we have to make sure not only are people fed, but are they being served along with, conversations, people checking in on them, things like that. So
Right.
that's kind
Thank
of
you.
where I am.
Thank you for sharing, Thomas. Shannon, you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I was saying, wow, I'm going behind Thomas, and that was part of what I was going to say. I would like to help homebound seniors who are socially isolated because they can easily be forgotten because, their needs are not always visible. Some of them are like dealing with chronic illness, and they spend a lot of time alone with limited connection to the outside world. I deal with that personally. And so I would like to, some of them struggle with the loneliness. They need companionship, help with technology. Some of them need transportation. So that's kind of the population that I would like to help. And one day
Okay.
we'll all be there.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Rula, please enlighten us with yours.
Okay. I was thinking along the lines of mindfulness practices for our teenagers. A lot of them are struggling. We see a lot in clinic who are having anxiety and depression. So there are some meditation circles happening in this area in Chapel Hill, here in Hillsborough. And so I would like to make it more available for more the areas in the outskirts for once they learn to do mindfulness, meditation, even, well, prayer is hard to introduce. It's hard to impose, but like in terms of different religions, but as far as just the generic meditation, nature connection, walks, and things like that would be great to promote that so that they learn to do these things when they're before adulthood hits, with all its problems.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Is there anybody that I forgot? My
Thank
list
you.
keeps around and I don't want to leave anyone off. I think I might have covered everyone. Now, I just want you guys to take a second and look at what just happened. Some of those ideas existed only inside of one of y'all's heads. Few of y'all had the same type of ideas. Teresa has posted something in the chat there that popped up on my screen. There were like 3 or 4 people who had some of the same stuff. But now we know about them. And Kevin, gave us a minute of caution, because everything is not a project, but some things are just, what you see. But we just kind of want to know where your heart is and what things, bother you and what things you think need to be taken care of, because some things are projects potentially in the future. Somebody said something, and then somebody else thought, hmm, that's interesting. I might help with that, something like that, because you might not have thought about it yourself. And this is what I want our prospective members to understand about the Rotary Club of Inner Peace. We're not looking for names on a roster. We're looking for people with stories, people with passions, people with connections. A lot of the people that are in here who have connections, especially the ones that I know. People with ideas, people with dreams, people who want their lives to matter, and people who are willing to stand by somebody else whose dreams matter too. If we get the people right, the projects are going to find us. I'm going to say that one more time. If we get the people right, projects are going to come. So we've gotten entirely too deep and philosophical. So before we end tonight, we just about to do a little stupid stuff again. Y'all know me. We're going to play a quick game. Remember that question that I kept asking everybody if you had 10 friends standing beside you and all of you guys participated and everything? Congratulations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Some of us might have gotten counted twice, but we got at least 10 in here tonight and a couple who couldn't show up that are still committed to showing up. So we got the 10 friends part down. So I'm gonna give you a service situation, and we're only gonna do this with a couple of people because we're like I said, we're over the time. And I'll open it up for a volunteer who wants to go, but if not, I'll just call on someone. I'm gonna give you a service situation. These are the rules. You have to choose somebody in this room that you would want on your team. You cannot choose yourself, and then you have to tell us why you would choose that person. Now, you may not know a whole lot about them, but I'm sure that after tonight, you've learned a little bit about some of us tonight. So you cannot say because they're nice. That's just too easy and that's lazy. Tell us something you've noticed about that person, whether it's from this meeting or a previous meeting or something that makes you think they would be good at it. So here's question number 1. This is round 1, and I'm going to open it up for anybody who wants to answer it. So you can raise your hand or just start speaking if you want to. We have 48 hours to feed 100 families. Who in this room are you calling first and why? Anybody? If not, I'll choose
Yeah,
somebody. Okay, Thomas.
I would call Shannon 100%. She is
And
so
why?
organized. She's so passionate, and she really loves uh, putting a smile on people's faces.
Okay, all right.
Willie, I would choose Tom. He's already got the gardening thing down packed. So
Tom Getz.
yeah.
Okay.
So with 9 other people, we could possibly do some magic. I don't know. I don't know anything about gardening. I'm not gonna lie. I just eat the food. I don't grow it. But somebody that has a little experience at growing food and distributing it, that's who I would go with.
Okay, Quanta has her hand up. Quanta, please.
Yeah, Well, he stole my thunder. That I was gonna say my brother Tom gets for sure because not only does he have a garden, he has a free harvesting every weekend. People come and pick whatever they want, and he can
Oh,
call
wow.
his neighbors an hour ahead and say, "Would you all like to come over for dinner?" And he fixed them a dinner, two kids and a mama. And I mean, this guy is something else. Yes, I would
Nice.
choose him for sure.
Okay. All right, we're going to move to the next scenario. We need 10 businesses to support a community project. Every single one of them has already said no. Who are you sending back through the door and why?
What kind of
Anybody
business?
want to anybody want to answer that one?
I'll take that.
Okay.
And I'm going to send Quanta because she has the most delightful personality with respect to a combination of being very outgoing, very outspoken, very assertive, but with the most kind and gentle delivery. And she
And
is,
calm.
and calm delivery. And she is just a master influencer,
Nice.
in my
Anybody else?
opinion.
Anybody else want to take that one? Okay, I'll move to the next one. Scenario 3. Everything has gone wrong. We're over budget like we're over time right now. We're behind schedule. Everybody's irritated. Somebody is threatening to quit. Who do you want standing beside you in that moment and why?
I'm gonna choose Kevin because he's a former FBI guy. If it gets kind of crazy, he'll know exactly what to do. So
Awesome. Anybody else want that one before we move to the next one?
I'd like to add on to what Malin said
Marlon.
that Marlon, I'm sorry, Marlon, you hadn't met her too much. She's not here tonight, but you want Patty too.
Oh yeah.
oh, New Yorker, yeah.
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 Yep.
We talk our way
Hey,
out of anything.
Willie, I'll take that one. I
Okay.
will volunteer to stand beside that person. I have been in that situation where everything is going wrong and I got through it.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Here's my next scenario. Everything sensible we've tried has failed. We now require a completely different, ridiculous idea. Who you calling and why? Anybody want to take that one?
Call me.
Okay, I'm going to call on Paul. Paul, everything's failed and you need a completely ridiculous idea just pulling it out of your butt. Who you calling? Paul might be on the phone call. He disappears sometime. Okay, let's try Arthur. Arthur, who are you gonna call? And don't say
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Ah,
Yeah.
I knew that was coming. I
Uh,
said, don't say Ghostbusters.
no, I think of I don't know. I'd probably call you.
Now, why I gotta be the one with the ridiculous ideas?
I don't
That's
know.
a
I
good
Uh,
think
idea.
I think because I think people will see like what you got right now, the place that you're facilitating. Some
mhm.
people, even though I don't think it's a silly idea, it's just the fact that people don't think that bringing people together is something that they can't do. So they will see it as silly. But you seem like the type of person that would say, "Oh yeah, let's try to make this work. Let's see what we can do." You know,
Awesome.
you'll make it make sense. So
Thank you, thank you. Rula has her hand up. Rula, come on with it.
Yeah, I would choose my friend Teresa just because I know how hardworking, creative, and persistent she is. But,
Awesome.
to be fair, she's the one I know the most.
Right, right, right. Okay. Next scenario here, unless somebody else wants to pretend. Oh, Paul has his hand up. Okay, Paul.
I heard you talking about me. No, uh, Willie whatever it was, I was finishing up a call real quick, but whatever it is, I choose Willie, period. I'm done.
Okay, all right. Now, here's a serious one. A young person has decided they're simply not good enough to accomplish their dream. Who in the room do you think you want sitting across from that person and why?
Willie, I would on that one, I think I would choose Rula. And the reason being is because she expressed helping teenagers, and maybe the individual is an adult, but the mindset is still going to be similar. When you're trying to help somebody, you may have to adjust what you say to them as far as based on their age or their nationality or whatever the case may be. But I think people that genuinely have a passion for helping people are probably the type of people that you want to engage with and try to help those individuals.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
we're going to go with one more question, and if anybody wants to answer that one, speak up now or forever hold your peace. Okay, final question. Think about the thing that you told us tonight that you care about. If you really decided to pursue it, who in this room would you want standing beside you? And I'm gonna open the floor up. I'm not calling on anybody. I want you to think about it. The thing that you said tonight that you really cared about, and if you decided to pursue it. Teresa said there's orphanages in her area, and I remember some other people's stuff, but I won't go over every person's. If you really decided to pursue it, who in this room would you want standing beside you?
So Willie,
Anybody?
I would say you. I mean, you've been my road dog for 50 years. I know you. I know your tenacity. I know your heart. I know how you think. Uh, and I also know when you set your mind to something that you're going to die trying to achieve it. So those are the kind of people that you want by your side when you go into battle. So yeah, I mean, 50 years of knowledge goes a long way. So
Awesome. Thank you, Quanta. I know Quanta has to go, and I apologize for the meeting running a little bit over tonight, but tonight's important. It's membership month, and I wanted to make sure everybody had an experience. But thank you. And it'll be, if you're gone already, it'll be in the AI transcript and on YouTube later tonight. Same question to anybody else. Whatever you talked about earlier tonight that you cared about so much, if you really decided to pursue it, who in this room would you want standing beside you?
I would want Thomas standing beside me because we kind of had the same idea. So I feel like we will be able to accomplish that
Okay.
together.
Thanks for speaking up, Shannon. Anybody else?
I can't name a person. I'll name the characteristics. I want someone who is um, accustomed to volunteerism, someone who has a lot of energy, is willing to work hard, get their hands dirty, and lives in Charlotte.
Sounds like Quanta.
Great.
Anybody else?
I'd say Teresa, Benita, and you. Thank you very much. Because and hey, that's a squad right there. We will get some things accomplished.
Okay. Awesome.
I was thinking that same group. And then, yeah, the same people. And Bonita for sure. And Patty for sure. And Arthur for sure. That's almost 10 there. So
Teresa
anyway,
said everybody.
that's right.
Anybody else? I don't want to leave anybody out before we move on.
Wait, I got one question.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, go ahead, Marlon.
It's actually for Teresa. It's kind of off, but how many hats do you own? You have like a lot of hats. Every time I see you,
I have about 8, and I got one in the hopper that I'm going to send to Rula.
oh, okay. Because every time I see you, you got a different one on. So I'm just curious.
Okay. They
Okay,
got a
y'all.
hot sun here. You need the shade.
No, I kind of figured that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that segment, y'all. And thank you for everybody who participated in it. But I just want to tell y'all something. I tricked y'all. This wasn't really a game about projects. This was a game about people. You just identified leaders, you identified organizers, you identified encouragers, connectors. Quanta, you're going to hear this later because Quanta is a great connector out there. You've identified problem solvers, dreamers. Thank you, Tom. People who don't panic, people who can open doors. Thank you, Kevin. People who can make somebody believe again. Thank you, Benita, for showing up. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, we just described the Rotary Club. Okay. So I want to speak one last time to our prospective members just for a minute. Some of you visited once, some of you came back, some of you have been here several times. You've watched us, you laughed with us, you shared with us, you learned with us. We all learning stuff. And hopefully you're beginning to understand what we're trying to build. At some point, a guest gets to decide whether this is simply some place they enjoy visiting or some place they want to help build. And if you've been thinking about becoming a member of Rotary Club of Inner Peace, I'm asking you tonight, and I hope this don't sound like church. Come on up to the altar. I'm asking you tonight to seriously consider taking that next step. Not because we need a name on the roster, because somewhere inside of you, there may be something that this family can help you build. You don't need a project. You don't need a Rotary resume. You don't need a title. Of course, there's some titles available. We need people in those positions. We need backups for people in those positions. You don't need to even know everything about Rotary because I don't even know everything about Rotary. There are people in here who are infinitely more knowledgeable about Rotary than me. You don't even need to have everything figured out. Just bring yourself and we'll figure out the rest together. So think about the journey that we took tonight. We started by remembering somebody who showed up for us. Then we discovered Rotarians showing up for young people society might easily have written off. Then we talked about things we care about. Then we discovered which people in this room we want standing with us. That's not an accident, y'all. That's something called community. So remember the question I asked about the masked off moment. Who showed up for you when they didn't have to? Maybe years from now, somebody might be answering that question and they'll be talking about you. Maybe the most important question tonight wasn't what can we accomplish as Rotarians or future Rotarians. Maybe it was who do I want to accomplish it with? Because y'all starting to know each other now. That's why we build relationships. That's why we fellowship. That's why we laugh. That's why we learn each other's stories. That's why we sit around my little coffee table. I don't have schizophrenia, y'all, I promise. That's why we take the masks off. That's why we dream together in the service lab. People before projects, always. So if something stirred in you tonight, don't lose it tomorrow. Write it down. We got these AI notes in this meeting, so I'm going to share that in the WhatsApp group tonight. Think about it. Talk to somebody here about it. We have a WhatsApp group. Participate. Talk about your ideas. And if you've been standing just outside the global living room wondering whether there's a place for you in here, just remember, there's always room for one more. Good night, y'all.
Thanks.
night.
Well done. Well done.
Have a good evening.
You
We'll
too.
see y'all in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Be blessed.
All righty.